Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me for this late night podcast is Colin Mitchell. Colin, it's 12:07 a.m. I am
Yeah, it's not
tired.
it's not late night, it's early morning.
Early morning podcast.
Yeah.
I am tired. I got home. I'm still in my dress clothes. I got my khakis on. Everything straight from the LSU basketball game to come here to talk about North Texas. That's how dedicated I am to this.
We weren't going to do a podcast tonight, Bruni.
No.
We weren't going to do a podcast probably until after these three games.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are following a loss to Rice at home. 70, what is it? 72, 71, something to 60.
Colin, you don't have the stats up. You're not.
I wrote down the stats that I need for this
telling
podcast.
me how prepared you were for this podcast.
I wrote down the
don't even have the
stats
score?
that I needed. 72-60 was the final. North Texas falls to Rice and Scott Para, the GOAT. That's the worst home loss since I forgot what game you said.
Oh, you want stats already? We going stats already? We don't.
I was just gonna say the worst loss.
Say worst. Just say worst. Honestly.
Okay, worst home loss in the Grant McCasland era.
There you go.
Lord. Anyways,
I didn't say it.
Bruni texted me after the game and said he was actually mad. So Bruni, how mad were you?
I was very mad. There for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
The first being, I do have to do this podcast, and then we have to do the Dave Campbell's podcast and talk about the same thing, North Texas basketball. And obviously, we know Grant McCasland, we know Ross Hodge, we know Matt Brower, we know we know of players on the team. We don't know them as closely as we used to anymore, but still, we're very, very tied into this program, and a lot of our North Texas fandom rides on the success of this program. Our highest of highs have come with this program.
Yeah.
I will never forget it. It's not dead, okay? But it's not looking good.
Yeah.
North Texas loses by 12. You mentioned it to Rice. And so I was very, I think, confused initially, because you know what they say, when people are upset, a lot of times they're confused. And I think I was confused, but
the more you look at it, stages of denial or whatever it's called.
Yeah, there you go. Stages of denial. But the more you look at the loss, the more inexcusable it feels, the more unexpected, the more unprecedented it feels. I looked it up, Colin. North Texas has played 103 home games now. So in under Grant McCasland.
Right.
Yeah. 103 home games under Grant McCasland. They have lost 3 of those games by double digits after tonight. The other 2, UTRGV, November 20th, 2017, the 4th game of the Grant McCasland era, they lost by 12. Okay. Not a good loss, but who cares? The 4th game of the first season. March 5th, 2021, they lost by 14 to UAB. Remember that? That was when they played the back-to-backs.
That was when Trey Jemison just destroyed them, right?
That was when UAB really started to make their name felt, and that's when North Texas lost both those UAB games at home, remember? And then went to the tournament as a 3 seed in their division, and then went on and win the tournament and had the great, beat Purdue, so on and so forth. Those are the only 2 other losses by double digits in the Super Pit.
Yeah.
This was the 3rd, and I will go on record and say this is the worst home loss of the Grant McCasland era. In 103 games, this is the worst result. And I didn't think we'd be at this point. I never in a million years thought we were going to be at this point where this team lost to Rice. And I think the last thing I'll say, before I let you get into your bag of notes.
Yeah.
Last year, North Texas played Rice 3 times. They did not allow Rice to break 50. 50. They did not allow Rice to break 50. And every time Rice tried anything, North Texas was like, no, you're not doing that. The game's over. The game was over before it started.
Right.
Tonight, Rice scores 72. The defensive personnel on this team is nowhere near as good as it was last year. But the offense looks the same as it did last year. And it's disgusting to watch. And we said coming into the year, Grant McCaslin was on our podcast saying, but coming into the year, we have to be faster. We have to do this. We have to do that. He was right. They needed to do it, but none of it's happened.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when that's the case. When your defense isn't as good as it is last year, but you try playing like that, this is what happens. You allow 72 and you lose to Rice. It's the same team as last year, too, for those who don't know. Evie, Sheffield, Olivari, Fiedler, same team. Couldn't break 50 3 times last year. Has 72 against North Texas tonight.
Yeah. Is that sorry, you froze on my screen. Was that your piece? Oh yeah, okay, you're back now. You're back now. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, watching it. So I watched the first half. This is how it came to me. You had your day or whatever, you got back and then you were upset. They opened the game like 20-5 or something like that, 15-4 or whatever it was. I was like, okay, so I went for a run, came back. They were tied after halftime. It was like 36-36. And I'm sitting here watching. I'm like, oh, okay, this is just going to be like last game where, it's going to be close, but they'll do what they do. It's Rice, right?
They were up 31-28 at halftime.
Yeah, 31-28 at halftime. And all of a sudden, Rice just goes crazy. And it wasn't even like a crazy that was like, they didn't wow me with anything. It was like, well, that should have been stopped or that should have been thwarted. And then on North Texas's offensive side of the ball, well, that should have been a bucket, or why didn't they do this, or why is Abu not catching this pass, or why is he not making this shot, or so on and so forth. So I went back and I did split stats for everybody.
Real quick before you get into it, Rice outscored North Texas 27-12 in the last 10 minutes. A lot of those obviously were in the last like 6 minutes when they went on the run to close out the game and put it away pretty much. And North Texas was helpless. So go ahead.
So I was thinking after the game, I was like, what is happening? What is making it to where North Texas can't score in these droughts? And so I went back and did split stats for losses and wins. Tyler is virtually the exact same every game, no matter what happens. Averages 18 points, shoots 47%, and losses, which is 3% higher than wins. So, he's good. We're great. He's fine. We know Tyler's not the issue.
Shout out Tyler Perry.
Kai, this is a stat that's crazy. Averages 11.5 in wins. He's 43% from 2 in those wins. In losses, he averages 9 points a game, and he's only 32% from 2. And so we're already dealing with a guy that hasn't been able to shoot from 3. And when he's not able to shoot from 2, that's an issue. Then we go down to Abu. And I told you this stat before we came on. We've been on him a lot this season. 52.6% on 8.8 attempts this year in wins. 21.9% on 8 attempts in losses. That's what, 2 points? 2 points a game in losses. And so you have those are what I would call the 3 main guys. You go to Ruben. Ruben actually plays better in losses, and I'm assuming that's because Kai plays worse. He averages more points, has better field goal percentage. Yeah, he really does. So I was okay,
it makes sense. Yes.
So I was like, okay, that makes sense. I go to Stone, Matthew Stone. He makes 1 shot in wins, 0 in losses. Jaden Martinez makes 1.3 shots in wins, makes 0.5 in losses. And then we go to Aaron, and he averages the same amount of points and makes in both. He has a slightly worse field goal percentage in losses. So I was thinking in my mind, I go, so we are literally relying on Kai and Abu to have the best games of their lives every single time, or not the best games of their lives. They have to be really efficient, and we're having the role players that we expect to score 8 points, 10 points, make 1 shot a game in wins and 0 in losses. Like, that's not the difference. The difference is clearly Kai and Abu. So I'm sitting here, how can we get Ruben more involved? How can we get Matthew Stone more involved? How can we get Jaden Martinez more involved? And Aaron Scott, I mean, he's been producing in these last few games. So it's just crazy to me that you can go back and the role players have done virtually nothing in terms of offensive production. Obviously, they're out there, they're hustling, they're doing their thing. The team's good defensively, but that's not what's going to win this team games right now. And we saw that against Rice.
Yes. This team, and I think it's been that way. It was this way last year too, and you could argue it's been this way. You could argue it was this way with Javion Hamlin on the team, except Javion bailed them out, right? This team over the years, when it gets tight, it just shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
It just shuts down. The role players don't want to shoot. It goes down to, and this is what we said. This is what last year made them so great was Tyler's late game heroics, right? Imagine if Tyler wasn't great late game. How many more losses would they have had last year? 2, 3? Like
Yeah.
we're looking at it a little differently. But he was great. He was awesome. Javion Hamlet, same thing. Awesome late game shot maker. That was him. But it's not like they were running anything offensively. It's not like they were a free-flowing offense. It's not like they were motion offense. Like they were hardly setting ball screens half the time for Javion.
Yeah.
Like it was literally isolation.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry has been consistent on this team, but Tyler Perry cannot be Javion Hamlet.
Right.
And that's what we said coming into the year is you cannot expect Tyler to replicate what he did last year. It's unacceptable to expect him to do what he did last year. And I still think he's been damn good this year.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, he's doing exactly what he did last year. He's just not hitting the game-winning 3 every game.
Yeah. Kai Huntsberry coming into the year was supposed to be the guy.
Yeah.
Kai Huntsberry was supposed to be the difference maker on this team. And he has not been that.
Yeah.
By any metric, no matter how you look at it. He had a good game against Grand Canyon. Awesome. He's had flashes here and there where he's sometimes made threes. Awesome. It doesn't matter. He has been incredibly inconsistent and has not been able to do it. Tyree Eady, we've talked about him before. He actually had a great game tonight, 13 points. Good for Tyree Eady. But overall in the season, he's been hesitant. Abu Usman is probably, along with Kai, like you said, the biggest problem right now with this team.
Yeah.
Abu Usman is not Zachary Simmons. No matter how much we want him to be, he is not Zachary Simmons. And unfortunately, they have zero other options at the 5 outside of him.
Yeah.
Zero. None. Mule Sissoko? No. All of them. Anybody. Kriston Morgan? Any of them? No. None of them are options, apparently. Abu is not efficient. I asked you before the podcast to do some math for me. We ran the numbers. Since the FAU game, the first FAU game, I should say, because he had a great UTSA game, remember? He had a good FAU game, went 5 of 10. Since that second game of the conference season, over the last 7 games, Abu was shooting 36.5% from the field.
Yeah.
36.5. That is absurd. And they're not even, you watch the Rice game today, and it's like, they're not the easiest looks, but you're 6'11", your hands at the rim. And I've watched Zachary Simmons make this exact shot at a 60. You remember what Zachary Simmons used to shoot?
Yeah, it was he didn't he set the field goal percentage for the league?
Yeah, he was shooting like 60% every year.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, Abu, he's just not that. He's just not that. And I thought maybe he had figured something out after the UTSA game. It turns out he was just playing UTSA.
Well, here's the issue, right? Is you have your 3 main guys, right? We already went through Tyler, Kai, Abu. 2 of those guys, Kai and Abu, are both right now, certainly in Kai's case, one-dimensional players. Kai's not going to hit a 3 in your face. He's not going to be able to drive in the paint and hit a 2. You know, he's not going to do anything crazy. Abu, same type of thing. If he doesn't make those easy looks at the rim, he's out there for defense and offensive rebounding basically only. So once you shut those 2 guys down, every team knows that they're not going to be able to do anything. And I went back and I looked at Rice's last 5 games. North Texas obviously scored 60 points and scored 29 points in the second half. UTEP put up 67 points. La Tech put up 88 points against them. Middle put up 71 points. UTEP put up 82 points. And UTSA put up 81 points. All of those teams that I just mentioned, North Texas is beat or is better than. And I'm pretty sure they beat UTSA. Yeah, they beat all those teams. So the fact that they weren't able to get anything especially at the end when they had to score and they couldn't get anything up, I think that's also the most alarming thing to me is when they actually were down 9 and we're like, okay, let's go a little bit faster. And it was just the same type of thing. Nothing was working. Nothing is coming out of anybody. And it's disappointing.
Rice ranks, and this is after the win, so I'm sure they got some bumped up a bit in the KenPom rankings. Rice currently ranks 254th in the country in defense. North Texas shot, let me make sure I get the stats right. North Texas shot 38% from 2 against Rice.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like we'll get on players. Yes, 100%. It does come back to coaching at the end of the day. Like this is what we as North Texas fans, because this is all we're doing right now. We're just talking as fans. At the end of the day, we come into this season, Tyler Perry, Kai Huntsberry, Tyree Edie, Abu Usman, Aaron Scott, Ruben Jones, Jaden Martinez. That's a group. That is a more talented group. That is a more skilled offensive group than what you had last year. And what is the result? The result is scoring 60 points against Rice. Last year, this team probably would have scored 60 against Rice. All right, I don't have the score. I'm pretty sure they scored more than that, but last year's team scoring 60 against Rice, understandable, completely understandable. And I think I would have given them a standing ovation for scoring 60 points against Rice. But the thing is, they would have held Rice to 45 points.
Right.
This isn't the same team. And treating it like it's the same team as last year is flawed. It's extremely flawed.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem, is that the offense just never adapted. It never adapted. And I mean, sure, it would be great if Javion, James Reese, Mardraz McBride, Zach Simmons were walking through that door. Mo Gibson, Dangu, go down the list of players. Thomas Bell, even. I don't care. Give me his dribble down at this point.
Yeah.
Like, those guys aren't walking through this door. And you know what? The team you have right now is probably the second most talented offensive team. Third, no, well, you go back in time. But regardless, they are a talented enough offensive team to not be struggling against Rice. Like, it's just inexcusable. And I know I'm beating the same drum I have over and over and over, but that's it. And the frustrating part for me is I'd come around on this team even after a loss to FAU. I came around last podcast.
Yeah.
If you want positivity, go back and listen to the last podcast. I'm over here saying they figured it out. And now I look like an idiot. Because now they just lost to Rice. To Rice, Colin. You don't lose to Rice.
Well, here's the issue. And you're right. I was going back.
Lose to Rice.
I was going back and I was thinking of I was going back through Grant's stuff and looking at each of their seasons. And the last time they had a bad conference season was when they went 9-5 in the 2020-2021 season, the year they went to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And the difference between that team and this team is that, like you said, you don't have those guys that can bail you out. And I texted you this during the game or right after the game. You know, you always knew that Reese could hit a big shot in the corner. You always knew that Thomas Bell would do something dynamic, whether it's a three or he'd get inside the paint and get a block or whatever. You knew Javion was going to do his thing. Like, you had those guys. You knew Zach was going to be crazy efficient and beat the calming force. This team doesn't have anything other than Tyler Perry at this moment. Yeah, Kai hit a late game winner a couple games ago. But since then, what have we seen? We thought that was going to give him a confidence boost. What have we seen from him? We don't have any corner shooters. We have Tyree Edie gets hot, but then he's just non-existent in the second half. Ruben Jones hasn't completely gotten back from his injury. So it's like, you don't, like you said, there's no one coming through that door, and you have what you have. What are you going to do with what you have? And I think that's going to be, I mean, at this point, you're playing for the tournament at this point, because FAU's up. You're only 1.5 games ahead of Rice. And
you're playing for seeding at this point.
Right, exactly. You're only 1.5 games ahead of Rice. UAB twice. You know, unless something completely changes and they win out, it's not going to be a situation where you're competing for the conference. And like you said, we were both positive last week. I was like, yeah, I think this team still wins the regular season conference championship, because they're built. I thought they were built for that. Like, this team is built to grind like that. Little did I know Rice would come in and spoil the party.
And the thing is, I think for this entire season, we've been positive, like overly positive. Like, and
well, it's because they deserve it. The coaching staff deserved it. Last year, I think you said this on the Grant interview podcast. Last year was Grant's, like, was some of the best coaching you and I have ever seen with the team you have and whatever. And we were like, okay, they'll figure it out. Well, it's starting to get to figure it out time, if it hasn't already passed, and it's getting alarming, like you said.
Like, if you just go chronologically, after the Southern Nazarene win, we were like, okay, this is bad.
Yeah.
And my Panem here was at an 8. But what did I say on that podcast? I said, watch, they're still going to finish top 3 in the conference. They're going to be fine. But this game, Southern Nazarene, I know how it's stupid and crazy it sounded, but this game showed us, even without Tyler, even without Ruben, this game showed us this is the same offense as last year.
Yeah.
It's the same. You could just tell from a pace perspective. Colin, we watch basketball. We're not idiots.
Yeah.
We watch that Southern Nazarene game and say, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
the same team as last year."
Yeah.
We watched St. Mary's even without Tyler and Ruben, and we gave them the benefit of the doubt every single chance possible, giving them the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Hey, wait till they get back." Sure, but at the same time, Colin, we watch basketball. We know
Yeah.
this is the same team as last year.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. I don't know what the old saying is about putting something on whatever it is. I'll look it up later. But regardless, every single game that passed, we're like, are they ever going to change? Are they ever going to change? No. All right, well, if they're not going to change, their ceiling is significantly lower this year because this isn't the same team as last year.
But the benefit of the benefit that we were giving them was that their floor is so high, they can still compete at that championship level. And we learning after Rice, that floor isn't quite as high as I had thought, at least.
No, I agree. I think we've seen, because honestly, look at their conference schedule, Colin. They blew out UTSA, which was close for 3 quarters, basically.
Yeah.
They beat FIU at home. All right. Those 2 wins were the quote unquote blowouts. Barely beat Western, barely beat Middle, barely beat La Tech, barely beat FIU. Lose 2 close games to FAU, and then lose to Rice.
Yeah.
That's their conference so far. Like, I just, it's not clicking. It's not. And so, yeah, I do think this team's floor is lower because of what we've talked about this entire season is they're not a good offensive team, despite having what we perceive to be good offensive personnel.
So moving forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving forward, we keep beating this drum every week. I feel like like I just said, I don't think you can play for. I mean, they're still going to play for the conference championship regular season, obviously, but you have to refocus in a certain way where it's okay. What can we do to improve now?
Yes.
Last week I said you didn't have that luxury. I think now, I mean, your margin of error is over. I think do they tinker? Like, what do you see? I think Ruben. You brought this up a couple weeks ago. Does Ruben finally get the nod over Kai? Because when Kai is doing bad, Ruben steps up, even though they're losing and they're whatever.
Yeah,
Ruben's still putting something on the board.
Ruben is better than Kai
right now. Yeah, I completely agree. And Kai defensively too hasn't really shown me anything that's more. There's no good perimeter defenders on the team.
Okay, dude, that's a separate point. And I know we're trying to move ahead.
Yeah,
dude, defensively on this team, I was asked this question the other day: who is a great defender on this team?
Nobody. This is a really good. This is a really sorry. Yeah,
is Tyree Eady because he just won Conference Defensive Player of the Year at his last stop. I'm forgetting the name of the conference, but whatever.
Yeah,
he won Defensive Player of the Year in that conference last year. Okay, give me Tyree Eady. I'll take Tyree Eady. Who else on this team is a great defender? I think Aaron Scott's good. I think Kai is good. I think Ruben's good. Like, you have okay defenders. You don't have JJ Murray and Thomas Bell, two of the best defenders in the conference.
Right.
That's the difference. Yeah. And that's why you can't play like you did last year. You just can't. And so that was another interesting point. It's like you brought Tyler off the bench last year. Like, he played a ton, but like, you had JJ Murray, you had Mardrez McBride, you had some size.
Not only that, we saw a lot last year too. When it was offense, you brought Tyler in and then you subbed him out for JJ. You did that back and forth. You don't have that. You don't have a defensive specialist to get you a stop at the other end. Yeah. So, yeah, the perimeter defense isn't great.
But moving forward, I agree with you. I think this is the time you say nobody has earned anything on this team.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds crazy, right? Because they are 15-5 and 6-3, and they're still second place in the conference. That's awesome. We have eyes. The coaches have eyes. The fans have eyes. They just saw what we saw. They saw the FAU games. They saw the FI. They saw all those games. Something's not right. At this point in the year, you have, let me do some math, a month and a half until the conference tournament. Almost 2 months till the conference tournament. That's going to decide your season at this point. Because what do we remember about this team right here that went to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
All we remember is they beat Purdue. All we remember is that they
don't remember them going 9-5 in conference.
No, remember I brought up that UAB loss earlier in that season, and I remember us getting on a what was it, Hot Mic? Remember the app?
Oh yeah. It was
got on
like a live Twitter thing or whatever.
Yeah, we got on there and we were like, oh, this team just can't do it. They can't do it. They're just not gonna. They're not good enough. All this stuff. They go on a run. So again, all this, if they go 12-8 in conference, but win the conference tournament, make the tournament, hey, We'll be right there. We'll be right there.
Yeah.
But you have to reset some things. You have to reevaluate some things, top to bottom, and then move on. And the problem is you have UAB next on Saturday.
Yeah.
We're recording this Friday morning. On Saturday, you have UAB.
Yeah.
And UAB has not been good. But damn it, they're really, really
But
scary.
the thing about exactly, they're coming for blood, and they have the talent to do some random, it's just some crazy stuff. So I brought up already Ruben over Kai. Maybe we see something like that. What else do you think that could possibly happen?
I want more Aaron Scott and Jaden Martinez front court minutes. I want to boo sideline for a bit. Not the whole game. Like he play a lot. Yeah, 20 minutes. Cool. I want Scott and Martinez minutes. I know that's gonna kill you a bit defensively, kill you a bit on the boards. I don't care. I don't care about defense and rebounding at this point because that's not the personnel you assembled.
Right.
I could get on another rant. I don't care. That's not the team you assembled. You didn't assemble this team to be last year's team. You assembled this team with the idea of, damn, Jaden Martinez can score the rock.
Yeah.
Aaron Scott can kind of score the rock. Like
you're randomly, by the way, which is a good thing because Jesus Christ, if he didn't have this kind of coming out party in a way.
Yeah. I would, like you said, I think Ruben, a lot more minutes.
Here's one that I want to see more of. I want to see Tyree Edey involved more in the offense. I don't want to see this back and forth between Tyler and Kai. If you do bring Ruben, or if you swap Ruben and Kai, I think we possibly see more of that. Because Ruben, I don't think would demand the ball as much as Kai does, and I think that opens things up for Tyree Edey. But I want to see more of him because, like you said, he was a really good player last year in his conference. Yeah, he scored 13 points tonight, but he hasn't done much else the rest of the season. I want to see him do more offensively, and I want to see him on the court more because if he is that good of a defender, we haven't seen it this year yet. So I want to see that.
Honestly,
you play 7 guys, so it's not even like it's
right. Like you can't really dig too far, but like at the end of the day, it always comes back to this team is the slowest team in the country,
which is fine. I want everyone to make sure that is clear, that we are not harping on the fact that they're slow. Good teams play slow. It's the fact that you are down 9 to Rice and it feels like you're down 28. That's the issue.
The problem, the issue is that you shoot 45% from 2 on the season.
Yeah.
And you're shooting, I mean, hell, their turnovers are up now too. They're shooting 49% in conference from 2. You have a 21% turnover rate. You're not getting to the free throw line at all. They're dead last in the conference in free throw attempt rate, by the way.
What about 2-point attempt rate?
Wait, what was that?
And 2-pointers attempted, what are they in the conference?
They have 3-point attempt rate, which they're second in. So they attempt the second most threes.
I was going to say, because I feel like they don't shoot 2s.
Oh, they don't. They don't at all. I mean, because they can't make them. So again, I wish they would play a little faster. I would go to that 2 forward lineup with Scott and Martinez. I know it's going to kill you a bit defensively, but it is what it is at this point. So we will see. Overall panic meter, I'm at an 8 still.
Hold on. They're 337th in the country in 2-point attempted, according to Basketball Reference.
Oh, there you go.
567 attempts. Anyways, you said my panic meter. You said you're at an 8. What is that 8 still the same type of Southern Nazarene 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't go above an 8.
Well, I can't go above an 8 either. I'm debating on whether getting up to an 8.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna go 8 too, because you're playing UAB. You still have UAB twice, and if you're losing to Rice, you're gonna play like most every other team's better defensively. So
yes. The
I think I'm gonna go 8.
Well, the thing is if you were to split those FAU games, or if FAU just wasn't undefeated right now, I think we would be feeling a little bit better because the conference title would still be in range theoretically. Think about it. You can't just tie FAU. You have to surpass them because they have the tiebreaker.
Right. But I don't even know if that would be the case because FAU, you said this, North Texas is still 15-5. FAU passes the eye test. You watch FAU and you go, yeah, they can do something. Yeah. Whereas I watch North Texas and I go, they can do something if they do everything right.
Yeah. So, Kim Pom has them finishing 13-7 in conference. Is that about where you're at? Because we've talked about before, the conference is very, very difficult, and we're not taking anything away from the conference. It's a challenging conference. Okay, we know Rice is quote unquote better than last year. We know FIU has pushed around some teams, Middle Tennessee, Western. There's some good teams here, but at the end of the day, I am a little concerned. I think 13-7 feels likely.
13-7. So you have UAB twice. You have Rice away. You have Charlotte.
Look, they should beat UTEP twice. They should beat UTSA. So that's 3 wins right there. So that gets you to 9.
Western at home.
You put me at 14-6 still. Put me at 14-6. I don't know why. That's probably too high. But put me at 14-6.
I hope it's 14-6, because that means that we are wrong and that they're good.
Does that mean we were wrong?
I guess we'll see how the 14-6
because Colin, if they keep winning games the way that they've won games, dude, they're 6-3.
Fair enough. You're right. Fair enough.
6-3, and none of the first 9 games has not inspired really any confidence.
That's fair enough.
Barely.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, so yeah. I definitely think they could muscle out.
Yeah.
14-6 record, and then FAU ends up going 15-5, and you're like, oh, they were so close, but in reality, it's like no. But again, all that matters is the tournament. If you go 14-6 and you win the tournament, I don't give a damn that you went 14-6.
Right? Yeah, I care about you being the 13th seed now, and you're like, yeah, we did it again.
Yeah,
that's what I care about.
And then we're making a trip to like wherever the hell the game is, and we're just going from there. So again, this is all. From this point on, it's about building. It's about figuring it out. It's about tinkering. You don't have to. Last year's team also, let's remember, last year's team operated under the pressure of having to be perfect because they were in first place for the entire year. Remember, in conference. So they had that pressure. This team doesn't have that pressure anymore.
Right. And I think that also takes it off the coaching staff to where they can try new things.
The only problem is they've never, ever tried anything new in the past couple of years, it feels like.
But hey, it can happen. It can happen.
Is that unfair? I feel like that's a little unfair. Maybe that's unfair.
It
doesn't feel like a staff that is good, just likes trying stuff.
Well, I don't think when we say they're going to try things that we're going to see drastic changes. Like I don't think they're going to like completely change the way their offense works. Or
they got to play a little faster.
But they do. But I think we will see something like that where it's like, okay, like small things. It's not going to be.
Yeah,
the things that look flashy or whatever, but we might see if Ruben switches with Kai, we might see them go, okay, hey Ruben, do your thing. Or we might see it where they take Abu out and they run more with Aaron and Jaden Martinez out there. I mean, everything is predicated on basically is Abu out there and is Kai out there, and how are they going to run the offense? Because if they have Aaron Scott and Jaden Martinez out there and you swap Kai for Ruben, I feel like it's more free flowing. You can run more. I mean, and Kai out there too. Kai can do the same thing. It's really just Abu, I guess, where you not have to slow the game down so much and run up and down the court. So I don't know. We'll see. I'd like to see something different against UAB, but do you think they'll wait until after UAB? In terms of lineup?
Well, UAB plays tomorrow. The UAB game is the 21st.
I just mean in terms of lineup. Like, do you think they'll be like, hey?
I don't think they change anything, no. You wait because that game's on the road too. They're traveling tomorrow. They're not going to do anything. Then you got UTSA and UTEP, and I think that those are the games you can kind of, because you probably win those games regardless at home. But there's the pod. There's the pod.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna sleep good though. I was in a great mood all day today. I told you about this.
Yeah.
I went and played tennis. Played great. Went and watched a great basketball game. LSU women's basketball. A lot of fun. Come home, I'm singing in the car and everything, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta do this podcast."
Rewatch the game.
Rewatch the game. Get on here, start yelling. There it is.
It's okay.
It's not okay. I base my happiness around this team, Colin. I don't think you understand.
Everything. Bruni's whole entire life is decided by this team.
This team right here. But that's what you're supposed to do as a fan. And that's why we started this podcast, because we wanted to be more fans.
That's true.
Here, and we wanted to enjoy it a bit more. So, yeah. All right. That's all we got. Hope y'all enjoyed the podcast. I mean, check us out wherever you listen to your podcast, YouTube, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Let us know what you think on Twitter. Let us know what you think in the replies, all that good stuff. We will be back, I don't know, sometime in the future. Who knows? Maybe they beat UAB and we're feeling good again.
If they lose to UAB,
oh God,
what's your panic meter at?
I'm kind of expecting a loss on the road, so
then you're only half game back.
I'll be
at half game ahead of Rice.
I can't.
That'd be crazy.
I can't believe they lost to Rice. All right, that's it. I gotta go to sleep. I got a busy day tomorrow.
Okay.
I will end the podcast. Thank y'all for joining us, and we will talk to y'all later.